Welcome to this series, Arunachal, the Southern Tibet, Episode 2, Evidence, Part 2. In this episode, we will illustrate the evidence to establish the relationship between China and Southern Tibet. Based on the question, is there substantial evidence to prove whether Southern Tibet has been an integral part of China? In the previous episode, we already have covered the evidence ever since prehistoric period, followed by Shang Dynasty, Western Han Dynasty, Sui Dynasty, and Tang Dynasty. In this episode, we will illustrate the evidence from Northern Sung Dynasty, followed by Yuan Dynasty, Ming Dynasty, Qing Dynasty, in the order. In the upcoming episode, I will divide the period from 1774 onwards for the sake of convenience of reporting the facts. It is this period when the British took advantage of the Tibet, especially Southern Tibet, and therefore deserves careful explanations. The Sung dynasty, which reigned from 960 to 1276 Anno Domini in China, is divided into the Northern Sung dynasty and the Southern Sung dynasty. Altogether ruled by 9 kings, the Northern Sung dynasty reigned for 167 years. The Southern Sung dynasty reigned from 1127 to 1276 Anno Domini. Some scholars believe that Northern Sung dynasty was the most prosperous economic and cultural period in Chinese history. In the book recorded during the Northern Sung dynasty about the Tang dynasty called Xin Tang Su, the ethnic groups living in Tibet or the Thupo kingdom were referred to as Western Qiang ethnic group of the Chinese race. According to the Tang records, Northern Sung dynasty had a very friendly relationship with Thupo kings. In fact, after the decline of the Tang dynasty, the Thupo kingdom also declined, and thousands of small kingdoms emerged, as mentioned in the book, The History of Sung. Some of the Thupo kings wished to become the part of the Northern Sung Empire and were called Shuhu, while the rest were known as Shenghu. This integration between Tibetan Thupo kingdom and the central Chinese dynasty reshaped and transformed the political, social, and economic cultures of the southern Tibet. However, southern Tibet is the birthplace of ancient Tibetan civilization. The Yuan dynasty reigned from 1271 to 1368 AD in China. In fact, Genghis Khan, known as Temuchen in China, founded the great Mongol nation in 1206 AD. After his death, his descendant Kublai Khan, known as Hupilie in China, changed the country's name to Taiyuan Empire in 1271 AD. He destroyed the reigning Southern Sung dynasty in 1279 AD. It was the first unified dynasty established by a minority ethnic group in China. From its founding by Genghis Khan in 1206 AD, it lasted for 163 years and was ruled by 15 emperors. Ever since Kublai Khan changed the name of the country to Taiyuan, it lasted for 98 years and was ruled by 11 emperors. In 1280 AD, Kublai Khan, who ruled from 1215 to 1294 AD, launched an expedition to South Tibet called the Wu Tang expedition. During the Yuan dynasty, Southern Tibet region was named as the Hong Talu The, which emerged as a major state in West Asia encompassing most of the current southern Tibet region. There are plenty of research conducted by both Tibetan scholars and the Chinese scholars that prove that during Yuan dynasty, emperors had a very kind and selective approach towards the Tibetan culture. It is during this period of the Yuan dynasty when the Tibetan region officially came under the jurisdiction of the Central Empire of China. Its administrative subdivision was at the level of zone, which was equivalent to a today's county. The subsequent dynasties did not ease their management and relationship with the southern Tibetan region. The supreme leaders of the ethnic group were called the kings of the sect by the post-Yuan empires. The official position of the subheads could reach up to 5 levels in hierarchy. Later, during the Ming dynasty, Emperor Chu Yuanzhang, the first emperor of the Ming dynasty, who reigned from 1328 to 1398 Anno Domini, after seizing power, sent his envoy to the Wu Zizang command, or the southern Tibet region. Qing dynasty reigned from 1644 to 1911 AD, with 12 emperors for 267 years in China. During the Ming and Qing dynasties, the Yunnan provincial government became the administrative body for the southern Tibet region. Tibetan language, along with Manchu, Mongolian, and Chinese languages, were the official languages of administrative purposes. Tibetans, along with Manchu, Mongolian, Hui, and Uyghur, etc., were officially the main ethnic groups of the empire. And the Emperor Yongzheng of the Qing dynasty bestowed the golden seal on 7th Dalai Lama. From the 14th to the 18th century, the Ming and Qing dynasties attached increasing importance to Tibet, establishing deeper governance and more perfected resident institutions in southern Tibet regions. Historically, the southern Tibet region has long been included in jurisdiction of the central ruling dynasties of China. Qing emperors had dedicated ministers for administering the Tibet region under the jurisdiction of Yunnan provincial government. In 1793, the central government of Qing dynasty formulated and promulgated the Charter of the Aftermath of the Tibetan Confession, in which Article 29 clearly stipulates the personal, administrative, financial, military and foreign relations of Tibet and determines them in the form of law. The Qing dynasty emperors also established the Golden Urn lottery system, which strengthened the central government's oversight and authority over the reincarnation of Dalai Lama and Panchen Lama. This was an important aspect of Qing dynasty reforms of the administrative management system in Tibet, establishing systematic regulations for governance in the region. This system has persisted to this day. Based on archaeological compounded with historical evidences, it could be concluded that Chinese sovereignty over southern Tibet has existed ever since Tang dynasty. As early as the 7th century during the Tang dynasty, China established the Ansi Protectorate in the southern Tibetan region, implementing direct governance. The southern Tibet region has historically been an integral part of China and has been under the jurisdiction of various empires, including the Si-Chou Lu during Sui, Tang and Sung dynasties. The people-to-people relationship also increased during this period. The Hung Taluth during the Yuan dynasty and the governors from the Yunnan province during the Ming and Qing dynasties also established the fact that southern Tibet has been the inseparable part of China. I will take the opportunity to start the next episode from the year 1774 onwards, when the East India Company sent its secretary, George Bogle, to Tibet to investigate the geography of this region, especially the major canyons of the Yatong Gorge of the southern Tibet. This year marks a turning point in Tibetan history. I will be back after a duration of 7 to 10 days for the next episode. Until then, I wish you happiness and peace.